Hi, and welcome back. We're calling this the not so good news. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a way of looking at the news differently than how it's usually presented. And I hope you'll be happy with that and learn something in the process. Right now, we're focusing on Northeast Ohio, but we will be moving to local news, area news, national news. Well, we're going to be moving out and see how this goes. So. What we're going to talk about today is the school is the neighborhood on the CMSD closures in Collinwood and what grief looks like in a zip code. Collinwood is in Cleveland, Ohio. Collinwood, there is a barber in Collinwood. His shop is across the street from Collinwood High School. He has watched kids grow up through that window for years. When the merger was announced, when the district said Collinwood would close and its students would move to Glenville, he said this: I watched a lot of these kids grow up in this community. A lot of them still come in here, and I can tell you they're not pleased with the merger. It's one situation where it just trickled down, and everybody going to have to feel the effects of it. That sentence, it trickled down, and everybody going to have to feel the effects of it, is the whole video. That is where we are starting. So let's talk about what is actually happening. Cleveland Metropolitan School District, CMSD, is closing 29 schools heading into the 2026-27 school year. The district says enrollment has dropped by half since the early 2000s. 18 buildings shuttered entirely. Collinwood High School, nearly 100 years old, merging into Glenville. The budget shortfall is real, 157 million less from the state than expected. COVID relief money gone, a double hit. I'm in Youngstown, so that has happened here. I had a daughter who went through it. It's not fun. A city councilman who has represented Collinwood for years said this: the Glenville neighborhood has lost 22% of its population in the last 10 years alone, primarily due to school closings. These closures cause the population loss that justifies the closures. This is not a conspiracy, it is a system eating itself, and the people inside it are being asked to call it futures. We're suffering the same fate over where I'm at. So here's the philosophy. It's called sedentary time. There is a philosopher named Margaret Young. What she actually built was a way of thinking about the world that I find more useful right now than almost anything else I've encountered. One of her core ideas is what gets called sedimentary time. The past does not recede, it accumulates, like geological strata. Layer pressing down on layer, all of it still present, none of it gone. The east side of Cleveland is sedimentary time made visible. The foreclosure crisis, which we'll cover in another video, of the 2000s is still in the soil out there. The neighborhoods haven't recovered. The school closures of the 1990s contributed to the population loss that set up this crisis. The disinvestment before that contributed to the conditions that made the foreclosure crisis hit hardest there. Layer on layer on layer. When the district says this is about enrollment numbers and building conditions, they are speaking in the language of the horizontal present. When the people in those neighborhoods respond with grief and rage, they are speaking from inside sedimentary time. They know that this layer is not new. They have felt its weight before. Young says, the past is not behind us, it is beneath us. The question is whether we are willing to read the ground honestly. Another pillar of the philosophy is grief as permanent weather. Here's what the district is implicitly asking of these communities: perform acceptance. Show that you've moved through your grief and arrived somewhere functional. Keyword is functional there. Demonstrate resilience. Remember that word? Trust the process. Wait for 2023. I think I skipped that part. I sure did. Okay, let me go back real quick. I forgot to read this bottom part. So the district calls this Building Brighter Futures. A new shared building is promised by 2031. That was a very important note there that I missed, because They're not getting the new building now. They're getting it in 2031 as full if they get it. It's a full 5 years from now. 6 years from now? I don't even know what they're doing with the students in between that time. Young has a name for what this demand actually is: a form of violence. Not because the people making it are evil, because grief does not work this way. Grief does not process through stages and arrive at resolution. In Jung's system, grief is the permanent atmospheric condition of a world where everything you love is always already changing. The loss of a school is not only the loss of a building, it is the loss of the container that held the neighborhood's sense of itself, the identity, the rivalry that was also a pride, the teacher who knew your kid's name, the hallway that smelled the same as it did when your mother walked it. You cannot grieve this on the district's timeline. You cannot be finished with it by the first day of the 2026-27 school year. And yet the system requires that you act like you can. Jung says the honest life is the one that stops pretending the grief isn't there. This is not a call to paralysis. It is a call to honesty, honoring what is actually being lost, not as a way to stop it, but as a way to stay true to what it meant. The barber watching kids walk past his window is a witness in Jung's sense. He is not performing a policy opinion. He is staying in the room with what is actually happening, with the full weight of what it means, without rushing to a resolution that would make it easier to bear. That is not passivity. In Jung's philosophy, it is the most demanding ethical stance available. The witness is the one whose quality of attention changes what is happening, whose refusal to look away keeps the space honest. What would it mean to be a witness to what is happening on Cleveland's East Side right now? Not to fix it, not to explain it away, not to accept the district's framing or the councilman's outrage as the complete truth of it, but to see it: the barber, the kids, the empty hallways, the 2031 promise, the 100 years of what that building held, and to stay in the room with all of it at once. Here's enough does not offer a solution to the CMSD crisis. What it offers is a way to be present to it that does not require pretending it is smaller than it is. If you are grieving something that the system is telling you to be done grieving, you are not behind. You are paying attention. The school is the neighborhood is the people are carrying something real. Here is enough to see it.